Rachel Zegler is at it again. After massive boycotts and backlash over the release of the new Snow White trailer, audiences are making it clear they don't see her as Snow White, but rather Snow Brown. Now, she's at the center of a storm that's not just putting her career at risk, but also dragging Disney's reputation down with her. And honestly, it's a complete disaster. Everything about this movie feels wrong.
It's hard to believe that the evil queen is jealous of Snow White's beauty in this film. And I'm not the only one who seems to think this. If you can read the comments on this trailer.
First off, Zegler has been dropped from multiple Disney projects, some live action, some animated, and even a few planned Snow White sequels. Yes, sequels. Disney was clearly banking on this reboot, but after Zegler's PR disasters, they've slammed the brakes and scrapped everything. It's like they're cutting all ties and trying to erase the whole thing from memory. But here's where things get wild. Rachel's reaction. Instead of stepping back and letting the dust settle, she's in full-on meltdown mode. Ever since her controversial posts on X and her let's call them PR missteps, it's been a complete freefall. And it's not just her. The ripple effect is hitting Disney hard at a time when, let's be honest, they can't afford another disaster. Now, we've got Bob Iger, Disney's CEO, or as some like to call him, Bob Liar Iger, scrambling to contain this mess. The company is already struggling thanks to his so-called cost containment strategy and questionable agenda. Add Rachel's meltdown to the mix, and it's like Disney is juggling grenades at this point. But let's talk about Rachel for a second. She's reportedly furious, not just at Disney, but at fans. Yes, the very people Disney depends on to buy tickets and watch their movies. Her frustration seems to come from the massive boycott brewing against the Snow White remake. Families who grew up with the classic are outright rejecting the reboot, and it's hitting Disney where it really hurts: box office expectations.
On 4.5 million views, except of course the problem is this was captured roughly 16 hours ago. If I refresh it and we look to see where it is now, it's over 500,000 with only another 2,000 likes added.
Instead of owning up to her role in this PR disaster, Rachel is doubling down. Behind the scenes, she's reportedly working with her agent and manager on a statement that will directly call out fans. Yep, you heard that right. She's planning to blame the audience for her career falling apart. The statement is expected to label critics as part of a loud minority of so-called misogynists or sexists who oppose Disney's DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Defending yourself is one thing, but this is like throwing gasoline on an already raging fire. And Disney? They know it. Executives are scrambling to convince Zegler to backtrack on her plan because, let's be real, alienating your audience even more is not the smartest move. And just when you think things can't get worse, surprise. Rachel's behavior behind closed doors is raising even more eyebrows. She's reportedly been going on full-blown tirades, blaming fans for her downfall. Some sources even say she's pointing fingers at Snow White director Mark Webb, claiming the backlash isn't her fault. It's his and the studio's. Meanwhile, Disney is in full-blown panic mode. Emergency meetings are being held to figure out how to salvage what's left of this train wreck. They're also scrambling to cover up growing tensions between Zegler and Gal Gadot, which have apparently reached a boiling point behind the scenes. The irony? Disney keeps trying to spin this movie as a surefire hit, pouring more resources into promotion and damage control. But the harder they try to fix things, the worse it gets. It's like watching someone dig themselves into a deeper hole and refusing to stop.
Name, Snow White, comes from her skin being as white as snow. I am so sorry, Rachel Zegler does not fit that description. Create a new Disney princess so that you can showcase diverse talent without having to erase historical and cultural identity.
At this point, Zegler's decision to lash out at fans and attack critics feels like the final nail in the coffin. Disney is desperately pushing her to scrap the planned statement, knowing it'll only drive more people away. And if Bob Iger and the Disney execs are panicking, you know things are bad. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Rachel is doubling down again. With the Snow White remake already drowning in backlash, she's once more pointing fingers at fans. But this time, the stakes are even higher. She's furious over losing a massive multi-million-dollar deal with Disney, one that could have earned her around $20 million across several projects. Instead, those opportunities have vanished, all thanks to the fallout from her controversial comments and social media meltdowns. And here's the kicker: Zegler isn't taking any accountability. She's not reflecting on her actions or acknowledging how her own behavior helped create this mess. Nope. She's blaming fans, labeling them as a so-called loud minority of Snow White purists who've supposedly ruined her career. It's like she's following the same tired Hollywood playbook: blame the audience when things flop. We've seen it before with Brie Larson, Tatiana Maslany from She-Hulk, and others. But this approach? It's outdated, predictable, and doing her absolutely no favors.
So yeah, what they did with Snow White here is another example of Disney trying to fix
And then there's Bob Iger, scrambling behind the scenes, desperately trying to clean up the mess. Disney has already poured a fortune into Snow White, but apparently, that still isn't enough. Reports suggest that reshoots and revisions are being planned to salvage the project. But the real question is, how much more money can they sink into this thing before it's a total write-off? The backlash is relentless. Social media is flooded with dislikes and negative reactions. And this isn't just a Zegler problem, it's a Disney-wide catastrophe. The company's live-action division is taking a massive hit, and the optics are terrible. Executives and shareholders are left scratching their heads, wondering if this project can even break even, let alone turn a profit. For Zegler, though, it's a personal freefall. Every attempt she's made to defend herself has only dug the hole deeper. What's particularly striking is that Disney banked on Zegler being the face of the Snow White reboot. She was set to lead the promotional campaign, Thanksgiving specials, Christmas performances, New Year's Eve appearances, you name it. But now, all of that has been scrapped. Those primetime slots, once reserved for Zegler, are now being filled by Gal Gadot, who's suddenly become the new promotional centerpiece. And it's not just the lost appearances causing issues behind closed doors. Disney's attempts to contain Zegler's inflammatory behavior are actually backfiring. The situation has become so disastrous that some insiders are even questioning whether the movie's release should move forward as planned. With exhausted resources, frustrated executives, and a dwindling chance at success, it's hard to see how this story has a happy ending.
It's non-consensual. He's sexually assaulting you. That was the initial complaint about Snow White. How they're gonna sum that up and fix it, I have no idea. Please, please, please don't make it something where she's like asking him, or like it's her. She's the one who actually makes the kiss happen in the end. I don't know. It's going to be strange, whatever it is, though, and I can't imagine they're going to leave that in its original state for this live-action remake.
I just have a feeling this is going to completely flop. And I think you're right. They're abandoning the classic, story framework for this girl bossified version. People are tired of that. People are tired of live action remakes generally. It's tough because every time they do make a new movie that's original, it's kind of following the same woke narratives that are actually.
Let's not forget, this blame game isn't new for Disney stars in trouble. Zegler's ongoing refusal to take accountability is straight out of Hollywood's old playbook. Blame the audience, label critics with buzzwords, and hope it shifts focus from the real issues. Unfortunately for Zegler, audiences have seen this strategy play out too many times to fall for it again. And the financial implications? Absolutely staggering. Disney is reportedly funneling even more money into this project through reshoots and a revised marketing strategy, desperately trying to reframe the film in a positive light. But with every extra dollar spent, the odds of turning a profit seem to shrink even further. Shareholders? Worried. Especially with other struggling projects like Captain America 4, which has also skyrocketed in cost due to reshoots. The timing? Couldn't be worse. The holiday season is crucial for movie promotions, and Snow White has lost its leading voice at the worst possible moment. Zegler's absence from live TV spots and her inability to connect with audiences in a positive way is a massive blow to the film's visibility. Disney needed this project to succeed, not just to recoup costs, but to rebuild trust after a series of flops. And now, the looming statement Zegler is reportedly working on, a direct attack on fans, could be the final nail in the coffin. Disney executives are begging her to stand down, but will she? If she releases this statement, It could completely alienate the audience Disney is desperately trying to win back. The optics? Beyond terrible. At this point, it's hard to imagine how Zegler, or this movie, recovers from this disaster. Ultimately, this entire saga boils down to one major issue: accountability, or a complete lack of it. Zegler's refusal to own her role in this mess speaks volumes. At a time when Disney desperately needs to rebuild trust, her actions are doing nothing but widening the divide. What do you think about Rachel Zegler and her desperate moves that are destroying her career and Disney's $400 million project? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates on Snow White and other Hollywood disasters. See you in the next one.